Hello and welcome to the Nerd Cave Remote Technical Support video channel. Today I'm going to be showing you properties for files and folders and what they're used for. In this example I've created a temp folder and I put some files in it. If I were to right click the temp folder, go down to properties, here is the properties dialog that opens up for this particular folder. At the top we see the name. I can actually change the name if I want to. And then click OK, and it'll change the name of the folder. Here it shows me what type of object it is. In this case it's a file folder. Its location on the hard drive, its actual file size, or in this case folder size, and its size on disk. The discrepancy between these two is because items stored on disk usually are allocated a little bit extra space as opposed to the actual file size. For example, if a disk were to allocate 1,000 bytes for every file and you made a file that was 5 bytes long, its actual size will be 5 bytes, but its size on disk will be 1,000 bytes. This tells you how many files and folders are contained within this particular folder when it was created. It's currently set to read only, which means that you can read from it, but if you try to write to it or change its contents, you'll get an error or at least a dialog requesting permission to make changes. You can set it to hidden so that way other people can't see it and even you can't see it. If you want to be able to see hidden files in your file manager, you open that up and go to the View tab and then go under Options and then click the View tab in the Folder Options dialog, and you can set this option right here, Show Hidden Files, Folders, and Drives, and that'll allow you to see hidden files. If you click the Advanced button, you get some advanced attributes here. This is a archive bit, which means every time the file is changed, this bit gets changed. And when the file is backed up, this bit gets changed again. This allows the computer to keep track whether or not the file has been copied. This is a little bit obsolete. Most backup programs don't use this anymore, but it is there in case you want to use it. This particular option, allow files in this folder have its contents indexed, is a option for the search function in Windows. If you turn this off when Windows does indexing of your drive, it will bypass this particular folder. If you turn it on, then Windows will index the contents in the folder, so when you do searches for files and folders, that'll be part of the index. So you have the option to turn this on and off. Compression is handy if you want to save disk space, if you have a very small drive and you don't mind a performance hit. When you do compression on files and folders, it takes Windows a little bit longer to access those files and folders because it has to compress and decompress them. Encryption is an option for more advanced versions of Windows. I'm using Windows 10 Home, so this option isn't available to me, but if you're using a more advanced version of Windows, you'll have access to this particular feature. Under sharing, networking and sharing is beyond the scope of this particular video, but nevertheless, you do have access to the share feature here in Windows. You just click share and then select which users you want to have access to this particular folder and then share the object. Advanced sharing is the same thing, just with more advanced features available. You can change the name of the share. You can be more specific in what permissions a person has on that particular folder. Security will allow you to give other users on this computer access to your files and folders. One thing I should note is if you do share a folder or a file and you give a particular user permission to access it, you also need to give them permission here as well, otherwise they won't be able to access this. I've run into this a number of times where I've shared a folder and then wonder why I couldn't access it. It was because you also have to give that user permission in the security tab as well. Here you can add other users that are available on your system and then give them specific control like read-only or full control or other options. Previous versions is used for Windows Restore and I believe certain Windows backup features. If you have a backup which is connected to your computer or you're using Windows Restore, it will keep a list of previous versions of this file here available to you, so you can basically do just a quick restore right from properties. Under Customize, there's a number of options you can set. This will allow you to set a specific folder for particular types of documents. For example, if I open up temp, I have just the basic options available here. I can open up the ribbon, and this is what's available. All the basic file functions. If I was to optimize this for pictures, and then click Apply, you'll see a new tab here called Manage, and if I click that, there'll be specific buttons just for pictures. Slideshow, Rotate, Set as Background. If I set it for music, click Apply, I'll have a new tab called Play, and as you can see, there's options available for music and audio files. Here I can choose which folder icon you see. For example, here's a standard folder, and you can see a tiny picture of the Griffith Observatory. I can change which picture I see there. I can change it to desert, for example. Click that, click Apply, and now you see a desert. If I restore to default and click Apply, it'll set it back to the original, which is basically a little collage of multiple images, as you can see there. You can also change what the folder icon looks like. I can change it to a power button if I want to. Click Apply. There we go. I had to refresh the desktop. Which, by the way, if you want to know, I right-click the desktop and then click refresh, and it will update the icons on the desktop. So there we go. I've got a power button. So I'm going to change that back to a folder. I want the folder with little pictures inside, so I'm going to go back into Change Icon and hit the Restore Defaults button. Click Apply. There. So that's some of the basic properties regarding folders. Let's go into an image here. Let me change this so you can see. Alright, so let's do properties for an image. Here it shows you basically the same information as before. File size, size on disk when it was created, whether or not it's read-only or hidden. You can also set the archiving and compression attributes for this. You can also change what program it opens with. Click the change button and you can select which program you want as the default for this particular file. Under security, same thing, you can select specific users to have access to this folder or remove them. Details, I like using details. If anything, I always like to get the dimensions of a particular picture or find out its color bit depth. That's what the bit depth is here, 24. Rating, I did a little bit of looking into this feature. It's pretty much just an internal feature. You can set a rating for a particular file. Not all files have this feature available, but some do, particularly pictures. And when you do a search, you can do a search for rating. 3 stars. And there we go. Desert comes up because it's 3 stars. And I think you can also add other attributes to this. You can add your own subject and title, particular tags or comments, and you can search for those options as well. Authors, date taken, program name. This is a image that comes with Windows 10 or Windows 7 just as a sample image. I've looked at other images where this information is actually filled in, or at least some of it is. So sometimes when you're taking a picture, this information will actually be stored with the picture, so you'll have access to that if you need it. Previous versions, again, for backup history, you can restore older versions of a file if they're available. And I believe that covers everything for file and folder properties. That's it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if it helped you out. Click subscribe if you want to see more. Also, make sure you check out the website, www.the-nerdcave.com, and tell your friends about me. I'd love to hear from them. Thanks for watching and have a great day.